Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! So I was a driver for a little company that rhymes with Slamazon. I had been there for several months by this point and had developed a reputation of being very anal about vehicle maintenance. We aren't talking like washing them or whatnot, but cleaning out urine bottles, fixing broken wiper blades, installing lights to replace the burned out ones, or other stuff that would indicate you actually remotely care for your driver's well-being. Seriously guys, I had a van once with no working lights of any kind, and the passenger side door fell off its hinges right in front of the dispatchers, and they still sent me out. Needless to say, some trips were better than others, but this particular time, well, it was a doozy. You see friends, I was considered a problem driver by some for being obsessed with vehicles being kept road legal. I had not caused any issues other than this. We had dispatchers that were promoted up after a month and after hitting mailboxes, cars, and other kinds of insanity, but I was always skipped over. This naturally irked me to no end, and I was looking for better within 6 months of starting. I was there for nearly 2 years. Naturally, all my requests for the essential equipment and urine bottle removal were denied, so I'd buy bulbs for my van and pull them out after my route was done so I could put them into the next one the next day. And I chucked piss bottles out on a record. Kinda gross, but better than smelling it in a hot Georgia sun in the middle of summer in a van with sometimes working AC. This nonsense continued for the entirety of my time there, of course. This event, however, was the first of many times I decided to get back at the dispatchers for messing with my routes, giving me the worst vans, and so on and so on. You see, this van had the lights that were bad. Broken AC, chocolate mats squeaked, smelled like piss and musty taco farts. Door didn't properly lock so anyone could have stolen packages from it, not much could be done. And to top this all off, 4 bad tires, like metal bands exposed and one bulging out in its death throes. The whole day I babied this van as best as I could, putting air in the tire a few times and just barely finished my route with some daylight to spare. So 10 hours on a road down and an hour and a half back to the distribution center. I got underway and got about halfway before I felt that telltale shake of a tire going out. Well, here we go, I say to myself, and scan my surroundings. I'm on the interstate and not very far from an off-ramp. So with what little tire I have left, I limp off the ramp into a parking lot which is right next to an Applebee's. Perfect luck, all things considered, and I call dispatch and give my exact location and tell them what happened. The conversation goes as follows between me and Deb F, who's a jerk dispatcher. Hey, I got a flat over here at my location. What? How? Because they sent me out in a van that needed tires? Fine, whatever, everyone has gone home, so you're gonna have to wait till I get there. Sure, that's fine, I'll stay clocked in then. You finished your route, so I don't see why you will be on the clock. Well, because I'm still in command of this vehicle. I have the keys, and if you want me to give it back, you're going to keep me on the clock. I had called the company HR and explained everything before I called the dispatcher, and they assured me that my time will be recorded. Fine. I have things to do tonight, so we gotta hurry up. Perfect. Time to screw this guy. After giving him extremely vague directions, while I enjoy a steak meal and a large bill on the clock and no crap given anymore, he finally finds it. I go out there and see that he has brought the smallest, saddest, most not suitable for the task jack in the center. Well, get to it. You made me leave with this van and you can change the tire. Nuh-uh. You were driving it. And I interject. Drivers are not allowed. A company policy is to perform repairs to the van. He had yelled at me previously for doing this with the bulbs. Only dispatch, management, maintenance, and the repair shop can repair the van. So I walk away to finish my meal while he tries to fix this flat with a jack barely able to lift the front of the vehicle. And he needs bricks and other items to even go high enough. In total, I wasted 4 hours of his time, cost him time to smoke up, and he missed a game that he apparently had money on. I got my meal effectively for free with the hefty overtime I got that week. As an extra smackdown, corporate came in and fired the manager, assistant manager, and this particular dispatcher for failure to maintain the vehicles to DOT standards and for mismanaging the DSP. delivery service provider. After my lovely chat with HR during the incident, I showed them the text messages and some of the recorded audio I had taken of the dispatcher being a general douche canoe. A week later, we had a temp management consisting of corporate operations that would oversee the vans getting replaced with less crabby ones, training new management, and of course giving training on what to do if you have a vehicle fail like that, and granting drivers some maintenance permissions. It's been 2 years and I can finally post about this. This is juicy, so get ready. Background information. We live in an old and big manor that has been split into 3 attached houses. The houses are about 150 years old and were built around 5 huge giant sequoias, which were about 200 years old. In the UK, giant sequoias are very rare, and the 2 in our garden up the house priced by about £60,000. We live next to 2 really nice neighbors, one young couple and one old couple. The story. Unfortunately, our old neighbors passed away, so their child and her family moved in. Let's call her Jo. Jo was instantly a pain in the butt. We have been sharing chickens with the previous neighbors and Jo agreed to keep sharing them. However, on her nights, she would constantly forget to put them away, so we would have to check them every night anyway. One night, her little brat thought it would be funny to open our personal duck pen in the night, which leads to a mass slaughter. Later, the check-ins went the same way. About 2 years ago, there was a storm and one of her sequoias somehow fell over and died. They were distraught, understandably, but from then on, the jealousy started. She would constantly complain about how lucky we were to have 2 sequoias in our garden and how our sequoia was making too much shade in their garden. It wasn't. Anyway, we just thought it was Jo being a pain. There were a few dry threats like they will chop it down or maybe the next storm will blow it down. Until we came back from a holiday to France to find a huge 6-meter stump and nothing else. I mean, how the heck do you get rid of a 100-feet tree in like 2 weeks? 2 of our old British oak trees have been crushed as well. My mom and sisters were crying. My dad was red in the face and we had no evidence Jo had done it. She claimed that there had been a storm and she had to get rid of it. We had a security camera at the front of the house, but you can get in the back if you go through a few fields. We then were given an £8,000 bill for damages to her property, and to have the tree chopped up and remove the wood alone would have been worth a small fortune. We had lost all hope and 2 weeks had passed when my dad came running in from the garden. We had put up a wildlife camera a few months ago and had caught everything. We got a lawyer on the phone and started our revenge. We got a tree surgeon out who said it was an original specimen brought into the UK in 1860, along with the 2 that were in Elveston Castle Country Park. There were around 218 around the UK, but only 60 now. He also told us to call out an engineer because the roots might be in the foundation, so when they rot, it could damage the house. Turns out, we would need to redo the foundations. Then we took Jo to court and sued them for damage to property, trespassing, and lots of other smaller claims. The tree would cost $250,000 to have another sequoia that was 200 years put in and looked after. It's basically impossible. Plus the damage to the foundation, which was $200,000, and the 2 oaks, which were another $25,000. So with the smaller claims, it went to about £500,000, around $700,000. They had to move out. We have now paid off the mortgage, done a lovely loft and kitchen conversion, and have basically done up the house and garden as well as planted the 60-year-old sequoia tree in the back garden. We also had our kitchen counter and table made from the old sequoia. We now have a new lovely family living next to us, who we share chickens, ducks, and pygmy goats with. We now have a new lovely family living next to us, who we share chickens, ducks, and pygmy goats with. They are very nice and I make a fortune babysitting their kids. So I, 22 female, was at Goodwill the other day looking around. On one of the shelves, I noticed the basket turned upside down. Picked it up to look at it. I was looking for a container to put my jewelry in, and found this really pretty little marble statue underneath. Like one of those ones of a lady with the arms and head cut off. I really liked it and it was worth only $5, so I decided to get it. But this lady near me noticed what I was holding and said, "Uh-oh." This other lady was looking at that. I think she hid it under the basket so no one else would see it. I asked if she was going to buy it, and the lady said she wasn't sure. She looked around and said she didn't see the woman anywhere. I felt a little bad, but I carried it around for a while, looking at other stuff. And I figured if that lady saw me holding it, she could come argue with me if she felt like it. After maybe 10 to 15 more minutes of looking, I was ready to leave and went to the checkout. Right when I set my stuff down, I heard this voice saying, "Are you kidding me?" And this older lady came up right next to me and put her hand on a statue. I noticed the man was with her, probably her husband. "I was gonna buy this. I hid it. It's mine," she said that. I don't like confrontation, but I was also kinda mad that she was already getting in my face. I said, "I've been carrying this around and you haven't come up to talk to me about it until now. I didn't know you were set on buying it." "Well, didn't you notice it was hidden? I was making up my mind and I hid it so no one else would see it. And I decided I'm gonna buy it." Someone told me a lady was looking at it, but I didn't know you were gonna buy it. I'm sorry, I'm already getting it. We both looked at the poor cashier who kind of shrugged and said, "Yeah, I mean she's already up here buying it. And you can't really call dibs on something. You haven't purchased it yet." Then the lady's husband gets involved and says, "Come on kid, let her have the statue. We're gonna put it on a dining room table. Where are you gonna put it? Your desk?" And I said, "Yep, I am, because I'm buying it." They both just kinda scoffed and looked at each other like I was some young punk who had just disrespected them or something. I give the cashier my card, I signed for it, and he hands me my bag. Meanwhile, they are still standing there. I don't think either wanted to do something as blatant as physically take it from me. The lady said, "You want it that bad? Even though I already was gonna buy it? I've been looking for a decoration like this for months. Are you gonna die if you don't have it?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And I walked out cause I didn't feel like fighting anymore. Meanwhile, they followed me outside and lucky me, we parked near each other, saying stuff like, "No respect" and "unbelievable." And I swear to God, I think the woman even said, "What a little witch," before she closed her door. Am I the jerk in this? And now some comments on the post. Someone saying you're not a jerk. You don't get to hide things from other customers when you're deciding whether to buy it. The entitled arrogance of the sort of person that thinks they can hide things in a shop to call dibs on them and expect other people to respect that is just beyond belief. Another commenter adds, "Not the jerk. What a bizarre situation. Unless it's in her hands or her basket, or she's standing in front of it looking at it, she has no moral right to claim it. It's for $5. How long did she think that it would be there for? If she was really looking for a decoration like it for months, she should have been more careful about laying claim to it." Both she and her husband were insufficiently rude. A third commenter goes with, "Not the jerk. As you were able to carry it around with you, it seems like the woman who wanted it could have also carried it around with her. That would have been much more effective than hiding it. Is she a toddler? That was hardly a good hiding spot since you found it. Enjoy your bargain statue." Okay, so to preface this person is named Karen for real. My dad died in August of 2020 and my mom found herself taking long trips to see people who were vital to her support network. Grief hits us all differently. I leaned on my love of aquarium, keeping an ugly fish. She found Karen on a Rover app. She was a live-in pet sitter who would move into our family home to care for my mom's shepherd mix Leon and Mitchie, our cat. She would bring her dogs with her and would sleep in a downstairs bedroom. Karen was an interesting person from day one. I live about 30 minutes away from my mom and would swing by on my weekends to pick up my medications. I swung by one weekend while my mom was out of town and met Karen after knocking on the door. I got my meds, we spoke about my rescue project, and I left. She texted my mom, "Please don't have Jiminy come over while I'm here. I'd appreciate it." Okay, weird request, but she had some trauma, so we just wrote it off as that. Everything seemed to go really well from then on. Mom would let Karen know when I was heading over, and a couple times that she didn't get the message in time, we chalked up to sucks to suck, check your phone more often. Then came a trip to Texas that I was super excited for. I had tickets to Moody Gardens to see their Arapamia and saltwater displays. I had spent around $200 on 8 piranha fry that needed very special care, and I decided to put my trust in Karen. I gave her a very specific list, but the most important thing to do was to change the water every day. I had even written detailed instructions on the side of the 5-gal fish ball they were living in. Piranha are trashy fish and just rip and tear their food, leading to a lot of food waste that can cause ammonia spikes. We went over the list, she agreed to everything, and oddly I went to Texas with my mom. 8 days later I returned to an absolutely disgusting ball and 8 very sick fish. I did an emergency change and called her. "Hey, when did you last do a water change?" I've got some sick fish and I need to know so I can reacclimate them. Oh, I never did it. What? Well, I was just so worried about them getting sucked up in a siphon. I just didn't want to. I have a cell phone, you could have called me. Well, yes, but I didn't want to interrupt your trip. You're paying me to take care of the animals. To summarize the end of that conversation, I didn't pay her for her work with the fish. My mom still paid her for the time with the other animals, but in my mind, she should have contacted me instead of just deciding to not do the work I needed her to do. To be absolutely clear, it would have been healthier for the fish to just stay at my house untouched. I lost 2 fish because of her negligence. She texted my mom and went absolutely ballistic. She told her that she would never pet sit for me again because I was mean to her. To be fair, I probably was. I wasn't happy about her decision. Anyway, fast forward a year and the most notable thing that happened with Karen was that she had made some offhand comments about Leon being fat. Leon was still a puppy at the time and was going through a chunk-clank phase of growth. After a trip, she took him in for an allergy shot where the vet noted that he was somewhat underweight. At this point, I started demanding that we fire Karen. The breaking point came later in 2022. I was at work when I got a call from my mom. I'm okay, there is no need to worry. Mom, you can't open a conversation with that. What's going on? I've been in the hospital since about 11 this morning. I'm going in for emergency surgery tomorrow, and I'd like you to come see me afterwards. Mom, what are you talking about? I'm on my way right now. You don't have to worry, just finish out your shift and get some sleep. I most definitely did not do that. I skipped out of work, packed my stuff and rushed over to the hospital, practically breaking a land speed record on the way. I walked into the emergency department and over to a nurse. Hey, I'm here to see my mom. Do I have the right ward? The nurse glares at me and goes, "We are not accepting visitors for that patient." And that's that, before slamming the window in my face. At that point, I started to feel the adrenaline second wave followed by a cold rage. I knocked on the window again and a second nurse came over. "Look, sir, we aren't accepting visitors at this time for safety reasons. Please don't make me call security." So I did the only thing I could do. I sat down and called my mom. I explained the situation and she was equally as confused and upset as I was. She called an emergency ward nurse. I could hear their conversation through the phone. "Well, ma'am, the hospital got a phone call from someone who said she knew you. I was upset that you were staying in the ER. The mid-surge ward is full. She said she was going to come down with a doctor and teach us a lesson. Hospital policy is to deny visitors for patients mentioned in a threat." Oh my god, that's my dog sitter. I asked her to watch the animals today and she just… This is so embarrassing. Ma'am, we also have someone out front who's refusing to leave. That's my son. Please let him in. And I was let in. Mom had her gallbladder removed and ended up spending a week in the hospital. And because of Karen, I had to show my ID every single time to a very lovely night security guard. This guy was literally the highlight of my visit. It was around Christmas time and he was dressed up as Santa. I don't think he knew it, but he made every visit easier. Karen was fired shortly after Mom's hospital stay ended.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.